My name is Etta Toews. My pronouns are any and all, and technically I'm in my 3rd year of the design program, but I am in my 5th year of higher education. Been doing it a while. I was born to a super artistic family. My mom was an actress and a songwriter and a playwright and all these amazing things, and my dad was a musician. And they were always working, and it was cheaper to put me on stage than it was to have childcare. And so I was really naturally drawn to it. I really liked being on stage. And so my life was filled with art and with the arts community in Edmonton. And so it was a very easy path for me to just be like, well, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna be an artist of some kind. And I always knew that. And the McEwen design program was the closest that I could get to doing what I did for a living, which is film. The design program at McEwen was about as close as I could get without having to go to NAIT, and I simply didn't like the drive to NAIT, so. I'm one of those people where art is it for me. I can't do anything else. It lives inside of me, and I think if you're an artist of any kind, you understand that. And I think that that's what it means to be an artist, is if you can't do anything else. And for me, film came kind of by accident. It was Trevor Anderson called my mom's best friend, Davina Stewart, and he was like, hi, I'm coming back from Toronto to film my first feature film, and I need cheap labor. And I was like, me, I'll do it. Me, I promise I'll do it. And he was like, it's just gonna be getting water bottles and cleaning up garbages. And I was like, that's not a problem, I'm happy to do it. And so I got to work on his feature film before I changed my mind, and I drove home from my first day on set, and I was like, this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. This is it. And it was such a strange feeling. And then immediately afterwards, I was like, I'm 17, I can't decide that. But many, many years later, it still is what I'm doing. And I hope to continue doing film and art in all capacities for the rest of my life. This here is Hey Pansy, and that's actually my high school theater tech teacher. I ran into him at the protest, and that is his phenomenal and amazing, very talented wife, who's also a professor. And this film almost killed me, for sure. In all honesty, I think a lot of times filmmakers want to pretend like they're this really pretentious group of people who well, we make films and you don't, so, we're better than you, obviously. And that filmmaking is this sort of super easy, or alternatively, this super hard thing that you would never be able. Like anything, it is practice. This film took me, and there was portions of it that were fucking hell, but it was a learning environment, that's what making films is. Right before I applied for the grant to make this film, I got the call from Vancouver Film School saying that I had been accepted. And the option was there for me to go to Vancouver Film School. I didn't take it because the next day I got the call that I applied for the grant. I got the call that there was this grant that I could apply to. And when I had the conversation with my mom, and she said, what do you want to do? Do you want to learn how to make films, or do you want to make a film? And I said, well, I guess the end goal was to inevitably make films, so if the opportunity is here, I might as well take it. And so we applied for the grant, and I was very lucky. I got it. Hey Pansy was supposed to, and this is what I sold Telus, was this supposed to be a fun, happy-go-lucky, I pinky promise the drag queens aren't killing your kids. Aren't they so much fun? Aren't they beautiful? They're having so much fun and performing, and yay. And that's what it was supposed to be. And I was happy doing that. And then I got the grant, and I was like, never mind, I'm not happy doing that. I want to tell a truthful story. And that's inevitably what we had to do, which was to tell a really complicated, really nuanced story that there is no way that we could cover the entirety of in just 60 minutes. But the drag queen community is part of the people who raised me. And Darren Hagen, who I grew up calling Uncle Gloria, Gloria Hole was his drag name. And so I grew up calling him Uncle Gloria, and I didn't know that that wasn't his name. And so, like, if you ever, I kind of explain it like this. If you ever know that trope where like little girls or little kids will like try on their mom's heels and they'll put on the feather boa and it's kind of fancy Nancy and they run around in their mom's stuff. And it was like that for me, but I did it in like size 11 high heels and the feather boa of drag queens. And they were a really, really important group of people to me. And so I wanted to make something that was truthful and real and didn't downplay the importance of the stories that people had to say. And so Hey Pansy ended up becoming this sort of weird mockumentary that has my mom in it and is full of jokes and really funny bits and really cool people, but ultimately doesn't try to solve it. It's just a place and time. Yeah, of course. Of course there's a responsibility. I think you're obligated whenever, no matter who you are, if you have a camera in your hand, you have a position of authority. And if that camera is being pointed at a group of people who are a part of a minority, you now have the responsibility you have extra responsibility to not just think about the fact that you're representing them as a person, but you're representing the entire group of people that they now represent. And so you have an obligation as a filmmaker to do good and do well by the people that you are, in both narrative and documentary, you have an obligation to represent them well and represent them with morality. And when you're dealing with a topic like we dealt with in Hey Pansy, you're dealing with protesters. Hello, friend. You're dealing with people who have their own opinions. But that's also a person who goes home at the end of the day to her 2 dogs and has a life to live. And she deserves respect just as much as everyone else does, regardless of her opinion. And that's, as a queer person myself, is a very hard thing to deal with. Because you're like, but wait, I'm supposed to hate you. I'm supposed to like hate everything about you because you think that I shouldn't exist. And it's like, well, yeah, but where's she coming from? Fear, just like we all do. And I think that as a filmmaker, I had to step outside of my queer identity in order to accurately represent and give respect and do good by every single person in the film, regardless of their opinions on what we were talking about. Two things. One, being queer is inherently political, and that's gonna throw people off. When you make art, it will inherently be political. Everyone's art, regardless if you're queer or not. Because art is inherently political. Again, we don't make art in a vacuum. You're always being influenced by the things that are happening around you. I don't think that's a bad thing. Whether you cover the topics that are in the world or not, your art will be a reflection of it. It's always a time and a place. I was saying this earlier, but when you go to film school or art school of any kind, they're going to impose rules on you. And that's good. That is a good thing. Art school, film school, those are all things that people should absolutely go and do if they feel called to do it. but those rules are inevitably going to be a restriction of some kind. I think I was going to have a harder time making the film that I made if I had gone to film school and then made the film. What's great about the film is that it's all filmed on an iPhone, and that is literally just my personal cell phone. Yeah, and there's no fancy lighting, there's no nothing. It was, my mom edited the entire film on her fucking MacBook Pro on software she had to use YouTube to learn. Shout out to my mom. But I think it's, you know, we don't make art in a vacuum, and I think that breaking rules is a good idea. When it has purpose. Like, don't go doing it just like because you think it's funny, like, or because you're like, well, it's a rule, so I'm gonna break it. Do everything with intention and with purpose, even if the intention is, I want to have a good time. I think it's important that we use the institution of art and the institution of art school or film school as a foundation, and then also use our political existence as humans as another foundation, and then your background as another foundation. And all of these things inform your art making. And I think that your art, like, we don't make art in a vacuum. And I feel like people are like, well, no, it has nothing to do with it. And it's like, that doesn't matter. If your audience has a reaction to it, your audience's reaction will change as time goes on, because every audience will have its own place and time. They will have their own worldview, their own understanding of what's happening in the world around them. I think your audience will change, and so you have to know that. You have to understand that and incorporate that. Otherwise, it won't have the same impact for as long. I hope that my art is always a love letter from where I come from. I was raised in the arts community, and my mom has been my biggest mentor, and I think she's the funniest and most amazing person alive. And I'm really, really grateful to have that upbringing and to come from that place and be raised by all of the amazing and phenomenal, talented people that I was raised by. And I hope that my art is always representative of that in some capacity. And then kind of on a more personal note, like, my family comes from like rural Alberta. And so the prairies and the iconography of the prairies, I think for all Albertan creatives, is like this really integral thing to us. Like, that yellow of the canola against the sky is like such a peak experience for me. Like, driving to your grandparents' farm is like, you're like, oh yeah. And that will always be such clear imagery to me. And I think it shows up really consistently in my work. And so it's important to me that we tell Alberta stories. I think we have just as much to say, and we are just as cool as everywhere else in the world. Like, yeah, it gets fully gray, like, for most of the year, and we get kind of sad, but that's okay. In the summer, we're really fun. And I think that we deserve to tell those stories in all of its glory, and both sad and not sad. And I think that there are some really, really cool people doing really cool work in Alberta and in Edmonton specifically. And I hope that I can continue telling those stories, and I can continue telling my own stories through every medium that I can get my grubby little hands on. Like, we are the Texas of Canada. You're not, like, that's not a lie, but like, there's something gay and romantic about those cowboy boots and those cowboy hats. Don't get me wrong, okay? The amount of stupid little gay little romances I will write in the Alberta prairies, God, I will do it before I die, I swear to God.